With both the way that Julius Randle and RJ Barrett have started this season for the New York Knicks, it is apparent that they are going to change up the way that they've played from last year, and we're going to break that down. So welcome back to Knicks Digest. My name is Chris, and first things first, guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel. These are our numbers. They're ever slightly growing, that more of our viewers are subscribing to the channel, but let's shoot that number up. It means the world to us, but that's it. Let's jump right in to what we are talking about today. There is something that Julius Randle needs to do in order to change this Knicks season and make them a better team. And that is very simple. He needs to become more of a point forward and shoot the ball less. Now, last year, Julius Randle averaged 25 points and 10 rebounds per game and was one of the most isolation-heavy players in the league. It worked a lot of the time, and Randle saw a bunch of success, especially as Jalen Brunson started to get better, because it opened the floor up more for Randle. This year, the Knicks need to move away from isolation basketball from basically everyone but Jalen Brunson. Isolation basketball has proven time and time again that it will not win you a championship. It can get you close, but you cannot win a championship based off isolation basketball in this era of the NBA. Sure, back in the day, Michael Jordan played a lot of isolation basketball. Not only is Michael Jordan at the very worst the second best basketball player in history, but also it was a different era. Kobe Bryant and the Lakers did it in back-to-back years. But remember, that Lakers team was stacked up. The Celtics were not as good as the Lakers were. And also the Orlando Magic were not as good as the Lakers were. But since then, since Kobe's Lakers in 2010, there has not been a team built off isolation basketball that has won an NBA championship. And I have said time and time again, the New York Knicks are not in position to win a championship this season, and probably not next season either, unless Joel Embiid comes. But seriously, the point is, the Knicks are playing too much ISO-heavy basketball, and it is hurting them. Because yes, Brunson is a good isolation player, and Julius Randle is not a bad isolation player. But that does not mean they should be isolating as much as they are, because it is taking shots away from certain players. Very specifically, it is taking shots away from Quentin Grimes. Grimes, last night against the Cleveland Cavaliers, shot 4 times the entire game. 3 of them were threes. Grimes was not shooting when he was open. There was recently a play that was shown just around the Twitter universe of Keegan Murray passing up an open shot and Mike Brown instantly subbing Murray out because he passed up on an open shot. First of all, Tibbs should do that with Grimes, but the reason that Grimes is not shooting, outside of the fact that guys like Randle and Brunson and RJ are all shooting the ball the majority of the time, is that Grimes is not in a rhythm. He is a shooter. He is also the easiest guy to draw plays for the New York Knicks. Yet the issue here is he is not getting in a rhythm to shoot the ball. The Knicks do not draw him up plays because Tibbs does not draw a ton of plays. Because of that, Grimes is already at a disadvantage. But now, because the Knicks' best player is Jalen Brunson, because the second best player, or at least last season, was Julius Randle, and I'm still going to say is because it's been 4 games, they're both isolation scorers. Then RJ Barrett is also sort of a score-first player also. The Knicks have a lot of score-first guys, and it would make so much sense for Julius Randle to become more of a point forward like we saw him do on the Los Angeles Lakers. And sure, that was a very long time ago. He was a much different player, and now his isolation basketball has improved a ton. But I do not like that the Knicks' top 2 players are isolation scorers. Take a look at this very quickly. Sorry, wrong thing, but it is a good reminder to subscribe. Right now, before last game, the Knicks were 29th in field goal percentage and 29th in free throw percentage. The numbers are still not good. Also, take a look at this. When they were talking, this is a Yahoo Sports article, just essentially talking about the Knicks and having to play in transition more and how it works. The focus appears to have made it this season where Randle especially, but others are also passing the ball out of defensive rebounds to get out on the break and take advantage of cross matches. Fans should hope this continues to be a point of emphasis through this year. Yes, we should, and the reason is because the Knicks are best in transition. That is when RJ Barrett is the best. That is when Quentin Grimes is going to get the most open threes. That is when Jalen Brunson will be at a great, he'll have great transition basketball ability because of his quick isolation game and the way he slashes to the hoop. Mitchell Robinson is a rim runner. He would be perfect in transition. You can throw him a ton of lobs from both Brunson and Barrett, who both like to throw Mitch lobs, especially Barrett. I need a break for a second. But seriously, guys, I don't see why Julius Randle is slowing the game down, and he's not doing it as much this season. He is making quick outlet passes, and that is what should be happening because the Knicks should be playing in transition. This is a transition basketball team. Someone commented that on one of our YouTube videos that the Knicks should be playing in more transition. I don't know if I responded to them, but I remember thinking to myself, yeah, he's absolutely right. The Knicks should absolutely be playing more transition basketball. And that is because of one thing. Well, more than one thing, but it's also because of one very huge aspect. RJ Barrett has improved so much since the playoffs began last April. I know his first two games, the games in Cleveland, were rough for him. After that, Barrett's numbers were good. He averaged around 22 points per game on super efficient numbers. It was the most efficient basketball RJ had ever played. He looked really good, and for the majority of the playoffs, he was the second best player on the Knicks. Randle's ankle was destroyed. I'm not going to say that Randle played horribly, because even though he did not play well, it is because of that ankle injury. But now he is healed. He claims to be healed. And let's just take a look at his numbers for this season. Randle's averaging 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 5.5 assists per game on some of the most abysmal shooting numbers you'll ever see. Also, he's averaging 3 turnovers per game. Randle always is a high turnover player because he's a high usage player. But he's shooting 32% from 3 and 29.5% from the field. Those numbers are awful, and I don't think they're going to continue. I think Randle is obviously going to get those numbers back up. I do not believe in the one-off, in the one-on, one-off, one-on, one-off Randle thing that's been going on with his Knicks career. The first year, the Knicks had horrible coaching. They had no court spacing, and Julius Randle was forced to play a role that he had never played before. Then he was great the next year. And then the year after, the Knicks did not have a point guard. They started Alec Burks at point guard. That was not going to work. Julius Randle is a great secondary playmaker, but then on that Knicks team, he had become the best playmaker on the starting five, which does not work, and he wanted to be a scorer because that's what they needed the most, and then Randle played inefficiently again. Then last year happened. The Knicks got a good point guard. Julius did not have to touch the ball as much, and it helped him. Now, when Julius is touching the ball, he should be spreading the offense more because he is a great passer. He is one of the best passing power forwards in the NBA. He can set RJ up. He can set Grimes up. He can set Brunson up. And also, if Randle starts playing as more of a point forward, it will create more spacing. So Grimes can attack the hoop at times. So Brunson can attack the hoop more. RJ Barrett is an inside scorer. It would work a lot better if Julius were trying to be more of a facilitator this season. The Knicks need scoring less than they ever had before because of the way that RJ is playing, because the growth that Grimes is supposed to have, because of Jalen Brunson being Jalen Brunson. And sure, he's had not the greatest start to the season, but he also has not been bad. Someone who has had a tremendous start to the season, as I already said, is RJ Barrett. Look at these numbers. 21 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and then also 45% from the field and 43% from 3. RJ Barrett is absolutely balling out right now, guys, and the Knicks should capitalize. And this can happen through Julius Randle being a point forward. I think this makes by far the most sense. And we got more visuals to show you. When talking about RJ Barrett, as I already said, he averaged 21.2 points per game after the first 2 Cleveland games, including against an NBA Finals team in Miami. His decision-making hit a new gear, he sharpened his finishing, and he better utilized his size to draw fouls. There were some schematic adjustments. Barrett got more chances as a roller and a lead option on bench units, but it was his change in approach, his ferocity attacking the rim, and his confidence in his jump shooting, among other things that turned things around. From what I have seen from RJ Barrett, he is at his best jump shooting-wise when he is attacking the paint primarily. RJ Barrett is not a primary shooter. He is a primary slasher. He is best at shooting threes when they are in lower volume. I don't see a reason for RJ Barrett to ever shoot more than 4 threes in a game unless he's on absolute fire, and then he should still max out around 6 or 7 at very most. Unless this 42% from 3 thing continues, then I'm just completely wrong and RJ could shoot threes as much as he wants. But one of the reasons that he is shooting well is because he has had more chances to drive into the paint and work where he works best. Since RJ joined the New York Knicks, they have not had good spacing at all. They never have. It's been infuriating to watch because Barrett has struggled to grow. His growth has completely stagnated because of the lack of shooting around the Knicks. It happened so much in his rookie year, which was also Randle's first year. It happened in his second season. He became a 3-and-D player because he had to adjust. His third year, he was playing well in the second half of the season once they let him be the first option and drive to the rim more. And then the fourth season, he was relegated again to having to sit in the perimeter more, and he became a lot more inefficient than he was before. This season, he is attacking the paint more early on, like the playoffs, and it has led to the most efficient RJ Barrett that we have ever seen. And it is so important for his growth as a player for the Knicks to open the paint up for him more, which can only happen through Julius Randle becoming a playmaker. He should not be trying to average 25 points per game anymore. We don't need him to. Randle has said in the past that he doesn't need to be the first scoring option or anything like that. He wants to succeed. Well, the best way for the New York Knicks to succeed in the current is for Julius not to become the total third option or anything, but to really let Barrett and Brunson shoot more and have Randle try to average 7 assists. Try to average, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. Have an efficient season when you are making plays for the people around you because it will work the best. He's coming off of an injury, so it'll put less pressure on his body. So then if there are times when we need Randle to be a scorer, he can have more energy to do that also because it is easier to make plays for other people than to isolate every time. Isolation basketball is exhausting. It's one of the reasons why it does not work. Oh man, I am ranting right now. This is what Scott Perry had to say on Julius Randle, just sort of praising Julius, because I've been really just trashing Julius throughout this video. I am a huge fan of his. His patience level looks a lot better to me knowing Julius. He wasn't forcing as many things. The minutes that I've watched him play thus far, he's been willing to make the easier pass. Ultimately, that's just going to help him become more efficient. I know that's something he always wants to do. He's a sponge when it comes to wanting to get better, wanting to learn, and wanting to grow his game, and I think it's a great opportunity for him this year to grow his game from a perspective of being more efficient, being able to still score those 24 points tonight, maybe on a shot or two less, a turnover or two a game less. I think he can help this ball club win more games. Scott Perry is basically saying what I'm saying without saying Julius cut down the shooting more and start passing the ball more. It'll make him more efficient, and it'll make the Knicks win more games. I just want to show you one more thing to close the video, why I really think this is important. Because if you go to last year, this is the top 10. These are the top 10 isolation guys last year in frequency of isolated plays. If you look, Julius Randle is 9th. He is behind James Harden, Spencer Dinwiddie, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't know why Spencer Dinwiddie's there twice, so he's really 8th. Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. Harden won an MVP before. Luka is going to win an MVP one day. Shai is playing like an MVP player. Joel Embiid is the reigning MVP. Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant and also won an MVP. And Kyrie Irving is one of the best isolation basketball players in the last 25 years. Now, if you look at their score frequency at this, the only person... Also, Russell Westbrook is on this list below Julius Randle, who also won an MVP and has averaged a triple-double 4 different times in his career. Russ is the only guy with a lower score frequency on isolation basketball than Julius Randle. I'm not saying Julius is a bad isolation player. I'm saying that he should stop doing it because he's not good enough to be isolating all the time. And he has not been doing that much this year, but I want him to completely become a playmaker for the New York Knicks. I think that is how they will win the most games. And man, this video went long, so we will wrap it up with that. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This video is going to come out essentially right after I'm making it. I'm making it in the middle of Wednesday, November 1st, right before the Knicks play the Cavs for a second time. Dariel and I are going to jump on a postgame. We're going to talk about it. Obviously, we saw our first Troy Dariel postgame last night, so I am sorry to say that I'm back. You have to look at this face. You have to hear this real brutal voice. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry I'm here. No, but seriously, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you next time, which will be tonight after the Knicks game, after the Knicks beat the Cavs a second time. You know how it goes. Sirloin steak, everybody. Have a good